What's happening, everybody? Welcome into the Pack a Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. Thanks so much for joining me today. I think it's going to be a quick episode today. I want to quickly run through some of the injury updates from Friday and going into the weekend, and obviously the game against the Ravens, including an update on Lamar Jackson. I want to talk about the Browns game being moved, as well as a little bit of Amari Rodgers, somebody who I think really needs to step up at this point in the season and specifically in this game. We'll get to all of that, but let's actually start off with the Browns game being moved, because I think this is somewhat interesting. I know as Matt LaFleur rightfully should be, everyone's focused right now on the Ravens and certainly, Cleveland and Baltimore, whether it's Lamar Jackson, whatever. And I know Cleveland's going through a lot of injuries right now. Baltimore is arguably the tougher game. In Baltimore, even if Lamar doesn't play, I still think that's a tough game, and that's a team that knows how to win, and they've been winning all season. I don't think they're a great football team, but I think they're well coached with John Harbaugh, and they find ways to win football games. And Matt LaFleur is right when he says they're focused 100% on Baltimore right now, and they'll figure out Cleveland later. But this is a big change for Cleveland and what they're going to have to do. Of course, they have all the COVID issues right now. They're going to have their game postponed from Saturday to Monday. So the Browns would have had an extra day of rest on the Packers had they played on Saturday. Green Bay would have played on Sunday, and then both would have played the following Saturday. Now Green Bay plays Sunday against the Ravens. The Browns play Monday against the Raiders, and now they will both play Saturday as of now on Christmas Day at Lambeau Field. So definitely interesting, just kind of looking at how that matchup changes a little bit, but makes things a little bit tougher on the Browns and doesn't give the Browns that one-day advantage that they previously had. And again, now that advantage goes to Green Bay. So something that will definitely help them going into next week. But again, the focus right now is 100% on the Baltimore Ravens. Speaking of which, we did get some injury updates for both teams. Let's start with the Packers. David Bakhtiari, Billy Turner, and Dominique Dafney are all out for this game. Equanimeous St. Brown is doubtful, and then Malik Taylor and Marquez Valdes-Scantling are both questionable. So a lot of injuries on the wide receiver front. The good news, Aaron Jones did return to practice, and he seems fine. There's no concerns about Aaron Rodgers' ability to play. And maybe, not so unimportantly, I know Jair Alexander and David Bakhtiari are both not playing this week, but the fact that they've been able to practice all week long and seemingly did not suffer any setbacks could be huge news for the Packers moving forward. Other bad news, it sounds like Kenny Clark, even with new COVID protocols, is unlikely to play on Sunday. At least that's how Matt LaFleur is classifying it as of right now, and he's going into this game expecting not to have Kenny Clark against the Ravens on Sunday. Let's jump over to the Baltimore Ravens. Ben Powers is out for this game. Calais Campbell is doubtful. I know everyone's been focused on Lamar Jackson, but no, Calais Campbell would be a pretty big issue for this Ravens team as well. I know he's getting up there in age. I think he's actually the oldest defensive tackle in football right now. I don't 1,000,000% quote me on that, but I think that's the case. So he's doubtful for this game, but he's still playing at a very high level, so that would be a big loss for the Ravens. And then Nick Boyle, Marquise Brown, Patrick McCarry, Tyree Phillips, Patrick Ricard, Alejandro Villanueva, and Chris Westry are all questionable, although all of them did practice in some capacity on Friday. And then there's Lamar Jackson, who is officially designated as questionable. And John Harbaugh went out of his way to say that he thinks that Lamar still has a chance to play in this game. But he did not practice on Friday, which means he did not practice all week long. Now, the Packers have had a quarterback that basically hasn't been practicing all week long for some time now. So that's not the be-all, end-all. But it does seem like this could potentially be something that could hold Lamar Jackson out of this game. And that's a massive game changer overall for both the Packers and the Ravens in this game. I think, for the Ravens, it changes everything, of course, but you also have to wonder if he does play, just how mobile is he, or does he have to be a pure pocket passer? Because that changes things for Lamar as well. I think the nice thing for Green Bay is either way, they're sort of focused on, mobile quarterback to begin with. And then if if Lamar can't move, then they can kind of change their game plan as is. And then, again, if Lamar doesn't play, they're still facing a mobile quarterback. So I think Green Bay is going to be able to put together a pretty solid game plan, even based off of what they know right now. But as of right now, we simply don't know if Lamar Jackson is going to play, and we probably won't know until about 1:30 p.m., right around there, maybe about 1:50, I think it is, 1:50, 1:55 p.m. on Sunday when the inactives officially need to be announced. So as of right now, unknown on Lamar Jackson, but the fact that he didn't practice Friday is not a great sign. Although again, John Harbaugh still holding out hope. One other piece of good news for the Packers, and as many teams that can say this, is no additional positive COVID tests for Green Bay on Friday. And we've seen, all of a sudden one positive test turn to 2 and 2 to 4 and 4 to 8 and so on and so forth. So yes, Kenny Clark would be a massive blow if he is in fact unable to go on Sunday. But the bigger news right now is that at least for the moment, for the time being, this seems to be contained and it doesn't seem to be spreading quickly within the Packers locker room. Knock on wood. Pray to anything holy, get out every lucky rabbit's foot you have. Like that is, of course, everything that we're hoping for, that this does not spread and does not become an issue moving forward for Green Bay or, again, any other team. But as of right now, no additional positive tests. Kenny Clark, again, stays on the COVID-19 IR list. Last but not least, I wanted to quickly touch base on Amari Rodgers because I'm just going to say it is time for Amari Rodgers to step up. This is a player who Green Bay almost, if you remember correctly, Brian Gutekunst said flat out, they were very torn between Josh Myers and Amari Rodgers. Almost took him in the second round. Were thrilled to get him in the third round and moved up to go get him. This is somebody who this week, all those wide receivers I mentioned, we already know Randall Cobb is out, right? We already know that EQ is doubtful. Malik Taylor and MVS are questionable. There are a lot of wide receivers that are out or could be out in this game. You could, I don't know if this will end up being the case, but you could go into this game with Devontae Adams and Allen Lazard as your top 2, and then Juwan Winfrey and Amari Rodgers is number 3 and number 4. And while I would expect Juwan Winfrey to get more snaps on offense than Amari in that situation, even if that were the case, it is time. It is time for Amari Rodgers to step up. I know it's his rookie season. I know that he hasn't looked great so far this year. I know he hasn't been given a ton of opportunity on offense. I don't care. This is a player that, if you go back to his tape at Clemson, was really good. And early in camp and early in mini camps, OTAs, he looked like he was going to be a contributor. And it just has not come to fruition. And listen, everyone develops at different times. But this is a team that needs Amari Rodgers right now as a kick returner, who he may continue to get those opportunities. As a punt returner, we will see if he continues to get those opportunities. And potentially this week as a wide receiver. This is a key piece to the Packers moving forward, especially if they have to go through a fairly aggressive rebuild next year. This wide receiver group is wide open for what it could look like next year. Allen Lazard's going to be there. Amari Rodgers is going to be there. And then it gets really interesting, right? Everyone else is a bit of a question mark based on their contract. But regardless of next year, regardless of who's back and who's not, it's time right now. This is a team that's making a playoff push. They need a returner. They need a slot guy with Randall Cobb out. I know Lazard played it last week, but you'd love to have a guy who could do some run after the catch and some gadget stuff. It's time for Amari Rodgers to step up. And if he can't, I know he's got a long career ahead of him and he's going to have multiple opportunities, but his team needs him right now, especially this week if those wide receivers are out. And it would be really nice to see some return on investment for what they put into Amari Rodgers in draft capital and just spending time developing them this offseason. So the talent is there. I wholeheartedly believe that the talent is there for Amari Rodgers. And I know that sometimes it takes year 2, year 3. This is a team that's all in right now, trying to win a Super Bowl right now, and they could use a little bit more from Amari Rodgers. Rookie or no rookie, doesn't matter. Your team needs you. Step up and be the player that you are more than capable of being. It is time for Amari Rodgers. That's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for joining me. Always appreciate it. I'll be right back here tomorrow with a game day preview, but until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.